talked really fast, and we're running over to the South Tower together. And he says, Timmy, not much you and I can do. I've ordered the 5th alarm for the South Tower, but it's going to take them a long time to get there. Do your best and be careful. And when he finished saying that to me, a woman came out of nowhere, an employee of the Port Authority who owned the buildings, and she was screaming, there are people trapped in the elevator, over here. And Chief Burns gives me the nod. He went to the command post. I followed the lady. And she took me around to where the elevator lobby was in the South Tower. And she took me to one elevator car specifically. And the hoistway doors were open, so you could see into the shaft. But the elevator car had not come down all the way. So just at the top of the opening, there was maybe 6 or 7 or 8 inches where you could see into the bottom of the elevator car. And all these people were trapped. You could see all their feet. And I specifically remember the men's suit jackets and dress shirts, because they were reaching kind of under the top of the elevator opening,
right,
trying to pull the car down. It's hard to describe, but I hope people can understand what I'm saying. They needed to increase that 6 or 7 or 8 inches to 12 or 15 or 24 inches so that they could slide out of that opening. Right now, they couldn't slide out. They were trapped. What I didn't know until later was that elevator car, free fell 70 floors, because the plane, United 175, snapped the cable when it crashed into the building. So these people had taken a 70-story free fall in an elevator car thinking they were dead.
Jesus Christ.
But the elevator car, the brakes, they design elevator assemblies for this kind of thing. So the emergency brakes grabbed onto it and stopped it before it hit the concrete pit. So the elevator emergency brakes worked the way they were supposed to.
Slowed the elevator down so they didn't have some abrupt impact.
Yeah, they would have been dead.
Right. Oh,
for sure. There's a concrete pit right below it, But it worked. It worked the way it was supposed to, and it saved all of their lives. But now those brakes are locked onto that car, and you're not moving. Nobody's moving that car. That's it. They're stuck there. So they're screaming because of that, but also because the elevator pit right below them was full of jet fuel that was on fire, and they were right above it. So right in front of my eyes, they were getting burned. They had taken this free fall for 70 floors to be saved by the brakes, but now being burned. So that burning to death is one of the worst things that could ever happen to you, out of all the worst things, right?
What were the flames? Were the flames coming out from everywhere, all around the elevator?
Yeah, below it.
Really?
So it's like being sitting on a barbecue.
Right.
It's a terrible, terrible thing. And here's big, brave, hero fireman Tim, completely useless. It's because at that moment I was not a fireman. I worked for the mayor. So I didn't have my gear on. I didn't have my fire protective gear on. I didn't have my tools and equipment. I had nothing. And I'm looking at them wondering, how the heck am I going to help these poor people? We used a couple of fire extinguishers to try and put the fire out, but it was a jet fuel fire. You don't put that out easily. And I turned to my right just to see if I could see something to help. And when I turned, I hit something, and I looked over, and it was a bumblebee. And I looked up, and it was my friend Mike Lynch, who I had worked with in Times Square in 1990-91. Mike Lynch was another big guy. He was 6'4" also. And he was a brand new fireman back then in 1990-91, and one of the most competent young guys who Terry, my best friend, and I knew. In fact, Mike was being groomed to go to Rescue 1 to work for Terry, because Terry thought that much of him, that Michael could work with the elite of Rescue 1. And all of a sudden, here's Michael Lynch from Ladder 4 standing next to me, and he puts his hand on my shoulder, because he saw what I saw. And he puts his hand on my shoulder, and he says, "Timmy, I got it." 3 words. I got it. Between firemen who knew each other, who had worked together, that meant that he had the training, the experience, the tools and equipment, because he was wearing all his fireman gear, and he brought a whole fire truck of tools and equipment with him, and the intestinal fortitude to save the lives of those people. He was the real fireman that those poor people needed in that moment. In that moment, over my radio, urgent, 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 confirmed by the FBI, 3rd plane incoming, it's ours, impact imminent, take cover, get in the stairwells. I said, "Mike, I got to go, you got this," because I had to go to the command post. And Mike waved to me, and I waved to Mike, and that's the last time I saw firefighter Mike Lynch from Ladder 4. Going back to the elevator scene now, Mike took the spreaders from that equipment.
To try to open that gap.
Exactly. Try to spread that gap. And we know that he saved the lives of 3 women, because 3 women identify the guy with the red 4 in his helmet as the guy that got them out, before the whole building comes down and kills all the rest of them, including Mike. And I told them, I told the guys that were searching there in the South Tower in the weeks afterwards, you're going to find firefighter Mike Lynch from Ladder 4 with the hearse tool, with the people in the elevator. That's where he was, and that's exactly how they found them a couple months later. In the subsequent weeks, it became necessary, without going too much into it, it became necessary for me to go out to Mike's home to speak with his widow, Denise. And I went out there, I drove out there, I sat down in their living room. She had 2 little boys, a 2-year-old and a 6-month-old. And I sat down and I said, there are some rumors out there about Ladder 4 that are false. I want you to know that you heard it from me, that I was with your husband in his last moments of his life. And he died an American hero, selflessly staying in harm's way to save the lives of people he did not know. The oath we take as firefighters and police officers and military, right? When we all join up, we all go like this, and we say, in that moment, for my career, I am willing to give my life for people I don't know. We don't know if you'll ever fulfill that. We don't know if you'll ever be called to fulfill that. But in that moment, you've already taken that oath. And in this moment, firefighter Mike Lynch fulfilled it. I told his widow, Denise, that when Mike said, "Timmy, I got it," he put his hand on my shoulder, "Timmy, I got it," in front of that elevator, he may as well have had the angel wings coming out of his back, because he was the angel sent to save the lives of those innocent human beings.